Welcome to Heart and Hand Extra, the Rangers podcast. My name's David Edgar. I'm here to preview this weekend's game, and to help me with that is our recent addition to the team and the Alfredo Morelos of the new signings. It's Andy McGowan. Hi, Andy.
Hi David, thanks for asking me back on.
Oh no, the punters seem to like you, and it seems that we're moving out of the era of, you know, the kind of Scot-led homosexual banter and more into actual football talk. And I didn't know if the audience were ready for it, but apparently 8 years in, they've decided to go for it. Although we will have Scott back on occasion to get the kind of flirting qualities of the show back up. But first things first, Andy, I want to talk about, before we crack into the events of this week, myself and Alex and Cammy covered the game on Saturday. We covered it in this week's flagship pod, which people can still go and check out. But I couldn't go because I was moving house, terribly unstaunched, but just was impossible for me to get. And I was gutted because I really wanted to go. The opportunity doesn't come up to see Rangers in a brand new stadium in Scotland that often, you know, that's travelable. What were your experiences? First of all, what was it like just to go as a game, and then, you know, in comparison to, say, Tynecastle?
I thoroughly enjoyed it. I really enjoyed it, and I've been talking to people all week about it, because obviously in the background there's been a bit of chat about Hampden's contract coming to an end with SFA and the potential that it could be Murrayfield as an alternative. So the first thing I would say is I help run a supporters club, and the demand for tickets was just absolutely incredible. I had the busiest bus I've had ever with my supporters club. We've been going for 10 years, and we get rid of something like 35 tickets, absolutely no problem, on top of every single away member getting a ticket. So the demand for something new is clear, and there was a wee bit of, I wouldn't say a cup final atmosphere, but there was a definite atmosphere outside the ground. The Bears were in good fettle. There had been a few drinks being taken that helped, but there was just something different about it. There was just something different about going to Murrayfield, going to a different stadium, and it also being, I don't know how many fans Hearts had, but it felt like we had taken over the stadium.
It was incredible. Over 14,000 for a league game, for a club that have been so bad that they had to sack their manager. And I know a few people had said we didn't really mention it in the pod the other night, and they were right. It was something we'd meant to get into, but the pod overran, as people will know. It went about 80 minutes. But that's unbelievable. I mean, it's genuinely unbelievable.
But there's self-praise is no praise, and I know that, right? But nobody else is going to praise us anyway, so we might as well. What the Rangers fans have done...
I don't subscribe, Andy, to self-praise being no praise, mate. That's the kind of cornerstone of my existence. But
what the Rangers fans have done, not just on Saturday, but ever since we get hit with this living nightmare that we've had for 6 years, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible, because it doesn't matter how bad our team is. It doesn't matter what's going on off the park. It doesn't matter what people are saying about us, or what they want to say about us, or what they want to paint us as. The fans just keep coming, and it seems to be getting stronger and stronger. And I think Saturday can epitomise that, because you had fans there. I had a lot of people on my bus that hadn't been for a wee while, to be honest, but they felt the need to come back and support the club. And I just thought it was great atmosphere, 90 minutes of singing, 90 minutes of good humour. The result obviously helps, but even when we went a goal down, the fans were fantastic. And
were the sightlines and stuff good? I mean, could you see okay? Because that's obviously the concern about a stadium that's not a football stadium, although obviously it's rugby, you know. I would imagine it's similar.
The practicalities of the stadium, for me, were better than Hampden in every sense. Everything, the catering, the toilets, the entrance, the exit, the parking, the view, the fabric of the stadium, everything about it was better than Hampden.
Wow.
I've got to say that's my opinion.
Well, I mean, I don't particularly like Hampden for all the reasons that you've just mentioned. It's a pain in the arse to get to, parking's impossible, and it's just a weird stadium. The atmosphere goes out of it. As it does at gigs, actually, it's a bad stadium for sound, but in terms of football, the atmosphere sort of drains out of it quite easily. A lot of the places that you can be sat in are dreadful, really, unless, you know, if you want to see the game, unless you're kind of up and side onto the pitch, you can forget about seeing large parts of it. And if Murrayfield is an option, and the Bears I've spoken to and yourself, given it's such ringing endorsements, then and maybe it'd be nice for us to have that, travelling to a cup final, because it's something, obviously, being a Glasgow team, that we've never really experienced. And maybe I don't know if it would have the kind of effect that Cardiff had on England, where it was that new thing. And I know that people down south who travelled there for semi-finals and cup finals speak very highly of the whole experience of it, that it sort of felt more like a cup final.
Yeah, I don't know the logistics of parking for if there was an Old Firm final, for example, if you could get buses at one side and Rangers buses at the other. But it can't be any worse than Glasgow, because you've got everybody converging on Mount Florida by whatever means necessary. So I think if the opportunity came up that cup finals or domestic finals were held at Murrayfield, I would be all for it. There's always a possibility that we're getting set up here for a Celtic Park for cup finals. That's always something that's in the back of my mind as well. But no, I thought it was fantastic. I've got to say, the only other frame of reference I got from Murrayfield was when I went to see Madonna. So it was a wee bit different for that.
I can imagine. And I'm sure there'll be people at home right now sitting thinking, David, you're going to take him to task for Madonna. But no, I'm not. Queen of Pop. Nobody better at what she does than her. And Like a Prayer still remains one of the best number ones of the last 50 years. So you get away with that one. Right, well, moving on, the main story dominating our week. There were a few, and we'll touch on them because they do all feed into the game. The main story this week continues to be Rangers' search for a manager. And a few names bandied about. I think now it's becoming apparent, and apologies to those who I made on a video blog after the Hearts game. I made a kind of throwaway remark about some of the names that I'd heard being a little bit left field. Now, to explain to people, it's not I know something you don't know and I'm not telling you. I'm not interested in that at all. I have a platform to kind of stroke my ego. It's not that. It's basically I don't want to throw names out there to add to speculation if they're not, they may not be true. So it's names that I'd heard from decent sources, but you never know. But I think it's becoming clear that the names in the frame, Derek McInnes remains a favourite. Alex Neil is being considered. Steve McLaren is being considered. Alan Pardew is being considered. David Moyes is being considered. And I think that those names are the ones that are most likely, at this point, as we record, that it'll be one of those five. Now, a legitimate question that has been asked, and I think it's a good one, is that if it was Derek McInnes, then why hasn't it been done by now? My belief, my understanding of it, however you want to put it, but certainly what I've taken at the moment, is that McInnes remains the favourite, and if you were going to put money on somebody, it would probably be him. However, the board have been pleasantly surprised at the standard of the applicants that they've had, and that the people on that list, obviously McInnes hasn't, but the other four have applied in one form or another, have let Rangers know that they are interested in the position. And I think that with McInnes, they kind of feel the way the majority of the support feel, Andy, which is he'll do a good job. He's not exciting, but I'm sure he won't, he certainly won't leave the club in a disastrous state. And it's maybe not the kind of falling in love, desperate, I must have you now thing. And I do think that some of those names that we mentioned have got their supporters. I believe Mark Allen's a big advocate of Steve McLaren, and I think there are one or two on the board would be very interested in speaking to David Moyes. Reports that the interviews will be held in London, as they were the last time, probably for anonymity, which again indicates that Derek McInnes may not be as locked in as he appeared a few days ago. Well, a lot of information I've just chucked at you there, Andy, but what are your thoughts about where we are currently with our managerial search?
The first thing I think is there's no need to panic, right? I think it's very, very easy as football supporters to kind of say, right, what's happening, why are we not doing something, why are we hearing nothing? I think the board have got to do what they're doing, and to be honest, to do what they did with Kishinya, right? So I'll kind of jump back a wee bit, David, and say that the board are getting flack for the appointment of Kishinya, and I'm not of that opinion. I think that we've been crying out for something different in terms of management and football structure and football style for years and years and years, all through Walter's years, as successful with it as they were. We always had this kind of yearning to have something different, something better. And I think that's only natural as a football supporter. But they did their due diligence in Kishinya, and it's easy to say now, oh, he had a poor CV. The guy didn't have a poor CV. The guy had a really good experience in Mexico, which, although we don't get much Mexican football over here, it was a real achievement for what he did. And you can say that he finished sixth and won it through the kind of playoff system. That's still a victory. And we heard when he was here that he didn't win big games. We win big games over there in a good league in a football mad country. So the problem you've got is there are no guarantees, as we've just found out. So with this new appointment, I think what they're doing is the right thing, because if you go to McInnes and say you're the one for us, Derek, and really you have no other options, first of all, it's no very good poker playing, because what you've done is you've went and put everything in one basket and he holds all the cards after that, because what if he says no, what if he asks for too much money, what if he wants more for a budget of players?
I would say that one of the things that's maybe going against me, not against at the moment, but a factor in the decision making process that colours it, is I think it would very much stick in the craw of those who sign the cheques at Ibrox to write a cheque for, I believe that the compensation would be around about 800 grand.
Yeah, I can quite understand that, I really can. And this is the other thing about the board. The board are the ones that are carrying the chitty for this. They're the ones that are paying the money. It's their own family's money. So I think they're well within their rights to kind of put their nib in and say, right, well, let's actually have a bigger say. And I think that's why Dave King's been over. But really, you've got to look at it as a non-football perspective. If you were going for a manager of any company or whatever, you're going to have a list of candidates. You're going to hear them out. You're going to look at the pros and cons of each. I said the last time I was on the pod that I thought we had a big problem if Kishinya went in terms of who the next appointment was. And I think it's kind of borne out here. We're looking at McLaren. I wouldn't have seen him coming. Pardew, not so sure I would have seen him coming either. Alex Neil, always thought he was a Celtic supporter, to be honest.
No, he is.
David Moyes.
He is.
Right, well, and Moyes and him then call me old-fashioned. I would generally put a line through the two of them straight away, right? Because I know we can sum up Kenny Miller, who played for Celtic, but a Celtic supporting manager, a manager that played for Celtic, that's a departure, whatever way you look at it.
It's a point. So, I need to do the point counterpoint with you here, because there will be listeners saying, well, David, you need to challenge him in that, even though I may have sympathies, shall we say, with your point of view. I do think that that would be an odd one. I really do. A lifelong Celtic supporter like Alex Neil, you could argue, and I have done before, that maybe it's overdone in terms of players, that when they become footballers they become fans of themselves, and especially when they become managers, and that's what they care about in terms of their career, and that might be something to consider. But I can absolutely understand that, I really can. And but then I also understand why it maybe wouldn't bother other people, and I think that certainly those who would espouse Moyes, for example, would point to Kenny Miller and say, well, yes, but Alex Neil, he really does look like a Celtic supporter though, doesn't he? And it would be hard to, you'd look at you'd see him in a Rangers tracksuit and he kind of would have looked like he'd stole it. So there is that has to be considered. But all joking aside, the one thing that jumps out at me, Andy, about the names is that all of them are British, and I know that obviously Michel Prudhomme was a name that was being mentioned. I am, while at the moment I wouldn't with much confidence put money, as I say, I'd still lean towards McInnes getting it, but I wouldn't put a lot of money on it. I would be really confident at the moment that unless someone may make their name known tomorrow, but unless someone truly incredible was to rear their head, I'm pretty sure the board are going to go for, shall we say, British, not necessarily Scottish, but certainly someone from the UK.
Yeah, I think we discussed that last time, and I think it was more or less a prerequisite, because the risks have got to be minimised. And if you're doing that, one of the first things you would look at is, right, what is this manager's footballing background? And I agree with you. I do think McInnes is the most likely. I've got to say I've kind of warmed to it. It wasn't my idea, a kind of progressive appointment. But looking at things and around, he knows the game in Scotland, he knows the players in Scotland. He would probably have the shortest settling period, if you like, out of the five names we just mentioned there. And he certainly would have the club at heart, which I think is a help, right? So we're talking about Neil and Moyes. If you've got Derek McInnes, I think there would be more goodwill if things don't go quite to plan, as can happen.
That's a very good point.
Like Neil or Moyes.
No matter what anybody says, if things don't go well under Alex Neil, it will be brought up. And
of course it will.
Probably on here, if I'm being honest. So it is something that is a factor, needs to be considered. And again, some people, I know, hello to all our Celtic people and listeners, will say, "Oh, bigotry." It's not bigotry. It's in the same way that Liverpool fans wouldn't want they wouldn't want Gary Neville being appointed as their manager. And I think that it's, Lazio fans will not welcome Francesco Totti with open arms. It's football rivalry, it's tribal, and it's okay. There doesn't have to be a nasty element to it. It's just how people feel. The one thing that I do want to discuss with you is I was a little surprised, if you like, by the board's surprise at the types of names that were coming at them, and are they underrating us? And if so, is that stopping them going out and approaching someone who... Now, I'm not saying you should get the job. I'm just saying someone of the stature of currently, say, Ronald Koeman. Because
probably
may feel, we are, we've had this last few years and we need to, McInnes level manager. That worries me a wee bit, because I would like them to remember how big a club we are. I wonder if it's the... listening to the kind of the chatter that goes on around the club in Scotland, where of course people who don't like us will do us down at every turn and try and make out that we're much less significant than we are. But there was a reason Rangers' defeat to a team from Luxembourg was carried all over Europe, and it's because of who we are. Our name means something, and if it's holding them back from going out, and the fact that they're impressed by guys who, yes, have big reputations and have managed at big clubs, but are all on the, if you like, the rebuilding process of their CVs, that would worry me, because I would want them to set the bar very high, and if you like, fall short of maybe, something that's a bit over ambitious. Because if you do that, if you set your ambitions really high and you don't quite match them, you're still way ahead of what was, if you like, the break-even point. Whereas I think if you set your ambitions low, then you're limiting the search.
Yeah, I think the club's at a point now where it actually has to get back to saying we are expecting to win things. And we're expecting to chance for a title. I think the days of kind of tempering our expectations have passed now. I don't think it's healthy to continue it, so you're absolutely right there. In terms of what you're saying about draws for managers, David, I think there's two contexts. There's a footballing context and there's a financial context. So footballing context, we are still a massive name, a massive club, a huge attraction to any professional player or manager. And I think that's fairly perpetual. That'll keep going as long as we are attending and maintaining the club. But in the financial context, the ground has moved so far under our feet, it's hard to comprehend. So if you do go for a Koeman, realistically, you're looking at a guy that was at a club that spent 100 million in the summer, and he might be sitting down with our board, and the board saying, right, here's your budget for the year, and it might not be 10 million quid for players, and it might not be even 15, 20 million a year on your first team wages.
True, but the challenge has changed. I mean, it was the same with Rodgers coming from Celtic to Liverpool. It's the challenge has changed. Yes, you're not getting the money that you had, but nor does anyone else in the league have the kind of money that you had. The only kind of financial concern to me would be the wages, because I know that, again, just speaking, someone like Koeman was, I believe, in the top 10 highest paid coaches in Europe, which, you know, is staggering to me, but it shows you the level the Premiership are playing at. So we're not going to be able to get close to that, but you're still getting a good wage, and I think that these guys, you know, obviously wouldn't be putting their names into the ring if that wasn't the case. So you'll still be well paid, but I do think a lot of managers, particularly from down south, will look at what has happened to Rodgers' reputation, because remember, he was a joke when he arrived here. Yep. People can forget that when he arrived, he was a joke figure, deluded Brendan on Twitter, etc. He was a punchline, and that was why he considered Scotland, and he's rebuilt his reputation. And I suppose the parallel to that would be someone like Moyes, who on paper, if you take away the Celtic connection, does have, you know, probably the biggest CV, but balancing that is the fact that the last 4 years of it have been nothing but bad. And you can maybe say, well, Sunderland is a bit of a club that's in a huge tailspin. I don't know if anyone could do a better job there, or could even do a good job there at the moment. They look as though they're going for a double relegation. So I see a dad again. You can explain away United. You can say, well, he was on a height to nothing. Nobody wanted, you know, it's taken really a few years, a lot of money in Mourinho to get them back. But it's still really been 4 years of him getting, if you like, his balls booted and his confidence sapped. And Rangers is, while I understand the attraction to them, that Rangers is a fabulous place to rebuild your reputation. If you win a title with Rangers, you know, the first title since we came back up, you will have legendary status at a club, and it's a story that you can tell, and you know, you will relaunch your managerial career. I don't know if Rangers is a place to rediscover confidence. I think you have to start with a hell of a lot of it, because you are going to get knocked. You know, you just, on a week-to-week basis, you will take knocks. And unless if someone is coming in who's maybe recovering from a hard experience, we might not be the best place for that.
No. But I get it entirely what you're saying. The difference between Rodgers and somebody taking the Rangers job is that Rodgers would have known coming up here, the chances of him failing were very, very slim indeed. Whereas the chances of somebody come up here and either diminishing their reputation or getting a real tough time, it could happen. So, no, listen, the managers we've got there, I would like to think, and maybe I'm being over romantic here, I would like to have a manager that comes in and creates their own legend, which I would use McLeish, right? I always said history would be kind to Alex McLeish, because when you look back at what he achieved, he done really well for us, right? You forget the last season, but he done really well for us. But when he came to Rangers, it was a bit of a left field kind of appointment, because he was up and coming, he was showing promise, Advocaat's seen something in him. And there are parallels to McInnes. There are parallels there. And I know it's very hard to compare and kind of transpose one manager into another and what your hopes and aspirations for them are. But McLaren, as you say, on the way down, his best years are behind him, you would think. Pardew, maybe not so much. I think he'd probably be a decent candidate. Alex Neil has had good times and bad equally. And Moyes, as you say, he's I don't know, as you say, rebuilding confidence isn't what we need. We need somebody that can come in and impose himself straight away. So I actually would like to see McInnes now, and that's a big shift in my opinion for even 2 weeks ago.
No, I don't want to have anyone under the impression that I'm saying it will be one of those five. It's just at the moment, at time of recording, that's what I think most people, and what the board are letting be known. Incidentally, I'm not going to say that I've got some, deep throat in there. That's the noises that are coming out of the board at the moment. But people are still applying. People are still throwing their hat in the ring, and it could continue.
There's two things, David, that I've had in my mind about this. The first one is that after Niederkorn, if they weren't looking about and saying we need to get a contingency in place here for Pedro Caixinha,
agreed,
they need their boys booted, right?
Yes, absolutely.
As a board, one of them should have had that thought and said to the rest of them, listen, we need to make sure we've got something not lined up, right, but sounded out at least.
Yeah, you get the feelers out, absolutely, right? Aye, totally agree.
Aye. So that's one thing. Another thing is, I'm surprised that Stuart McCall's name's not been there, right? So the reason that I like Stuart McCall is because
I will say it was floated by, I think it was the Daily Mail,
So it was, right.
It was slightly floated.
What he did with Motherwell is probably greater than what McInnes has done with Aberdeen. I thought his job that he did at Motherwell was absolutely beyond reproach. And I think he's a sound, steady manager, a good manager. He's young enough to still be in touch with the realities of modern football. So I'm surprised that I know he's an Wales, you say, but I'm surprised he's not been quoted more bigger.
I think the argument against him would be, one, he had a spell there and he did all right, and you have to go with the same argument that we gave Pedro with Warburton's players, that there wasn't a lot that they could do in it, and I would say the same, because not only did they inherit a poor squad, it was a poor and unfit squad, which Stuart McCall, if anyone's seen him at a speakers night since, Stuart McCall will tell you, that the players, I remember him going to a trust do at the time, and then someone said, when did you realise how hard a job it would be? And he said, the first training session when they were blowing out their arse after 20 minutes. So that's something, I've seen him say. And the argument against that, I think, would be, well, the board had him before and decided he wasn't the right man. So
probably, yep.
What has changed? And you're right about the Motherwell thing, but there's nothing in his CV since that time that I would say would influence me to go back and look over his CV again. I would tend to think that he would need to have achieved a bit more in that time. Difficult job that he has at the moment. I think that I get where you're coming from. McCall would be somebody I would consider certainly for the coaching staff. He's that kind of level, but I just don't know. I think that if you're going to go that route, you're probably better off going with McInnes. But I think it's interesting that pretty much everyone I speak to, as I say, the feeling about McInnes is, he'd do all right. I'm sure he's okay, and he's done a good job at Aberdeen, and nobody thinks that he would leave us in a disastrous position. I think that, but then I don't know anyone who's, oh man, I cannot wait. We've got to get him. Let's get this tied up. It's kind of a strange one that way. That usually you get. Derek McInnes doesn't seem to offend anyone. Nobody is actively saying, very few people, I desperately don't want him. But equally, I don't think he has a lot of cheerleaders either who are going, we must have him. It's a strange situation.
I think we're probably grossly underestimating the guy, to be quite honest with you, because if you step out of the kind of football measurements, what he would bring if he came to Rangers is he's got a wee bit of steeliness about him, and we talked at length about Caixinha's troubles with the press, and this kind of notion that some managers can control the press, some managers just will never get a fair break from them. McInnes has got a good sense of where the Scottish press are, and I think the Scottish press know that they wouldn't mess with him. And I think if he came to Rangers, that would help the club and the football structure as well, because I don't think we would have the same kind of nonsense spouted about Derek McInnes that we had about Caixinha. This kind of all out, kind of ridicule and a wee bit of witch hunt Caixinha had, if you're being honest. Yeah. I don't think McInnes would have to endure that just because of personal relationships, and he's standing in the game already. I
think in terms of that, of the names mentioned again, I don't think you would get it with Moyes, particularly because of the type of person he is. Alex Neil the same. I don't think they would get it. Pardew, I think we all know, would at one point, try and have it off with a waitress at the Aliyah Casino one night and end up on the front page of the Sunday World. I know. I'm just, and he's a single guy. He's entitled to do so, but I think that would happen with him. I mean, he was brilliantly described by my friend Michael. He was brilliantly described as a walking character from a 70s sitcom, and there is that element to him. McLaren has been bullied by the press before several times. It happened to him at Newcastle, it happened to him at England, it happened to him at Derby. To me, McLaren is, if you like, he's a coach. I've never really got the impression he's a manager. He's a coach, and I think that it strikes me as a bit of a puffed up cruiserweight going in and trying to fight a heavyweight. with McLaren. Plus, on top of that, he's got that stupid hair island. You know that bit where he's clearly bald and he's got a huge bald streak across the centre. He said, "I'm bald. I shaved my head." Right? Just do it, Steve. Do that, and you can have a shot at it. But otherwise, no. And we were talking earlier about a litany of failure. His has gone on a long time, really. Now since he won the Dutch title, has been nothing but failure. I don't know. But anyway, I mean, time will tell. As I say, it could all change tomorrow. It could all change by the time this comes out. So we'll move on to Saturday's match. Now, the other main topic of this week was Ryan Jack's red card being overturned, where we have the ridiculous situation where Ryan Jack has been sent off 3 times this season and 2 have been overturned. Now, again, you do have to wonder what the noises would have been like in Scottish football had that been a Celtic player. This is ridiculous, and I can't believe the club are just saying, right, okay, fair enough, because these were huge points dropping decisions.
Yeah, I mean, you're exactly, you took the words out of my mouth. They may have given us the rescinded red card for both, but we're not going to get the 5 points back. And it opens up the wider question that the Rangers kind of finally assaulted last week with this compliance officer situation. That it seems to be sporadic. It just depends who sees what and what is topical. There doesn't seem to be any kind of design or rationality how they actually look at this. Because is anybody speaking to Kurt Broadfoot, David? I don't know if
apparently because he got a yellow
card. So he's away. He's scot-free.
Well, apparently because he got a yellow card.
Right, so there's a first flaw in the system that if you've been given a yellow, it can't be reviewed. What a joke, right? The guy was rolling about as if he'd been
it was in bad, yeah.
shot.
It's funny because here was a guy who had built up in 5 years a good reputation among Rangers fans, certainly for a player of his ability. Had built up a decent, and you know what we're like with ex-players. You know he would have found. And yet he blew it in 2 minutes. 5 years to build a rep in 2 minutes to completely obliterate it, because that's now what Kurt Broadfoot will be remembered for at Ibrox.
And maybe there's a wee lesson for us both. We're talking about Alex Neil and David Moyes and their allegiances or whatever. His allegiances as a professional went out the window in a blink of an eye, so maybe we look too much into professional players and managers' allegiances.
That's a good point. I just think we've got to come out against this, Andy. We have to, because we've had a guy sent off 3 times, one of which nobody complained about because it was his fault. He did it. It's 2 yellow cards. You didn't hear a peep from Rangers, but to be sent off twice and you also think that we always hear about players' reputations getting in front. You would think that referee might now think with Ryan Jack, hey, wait a minute here, you know, and keep the card in the pocket, but we all know it's not likely to happen.
Yeah, and I think the circumstances of the Kilmarnock red card were exceptionally unique because of the 4th assistant on the park, right? He wasn't just talking in his earphone, he was on the park trying to get his attention for whatever it was. And there has to be a full and comprehensive review of what they're doing with this compliance officer, because okay, there's an argument that they could say, right, well, see, by having a compliance officer, we can right wrongs, which they've done here, right, to a degree. But at the same time, it's an admittance that your referees are getting it wrong.
Well, that's
quite
the key
often,
point.
Right?
There doesn't seem to be any comeback apart from certainly no recompense to Rangers in that. Oh, yeah, well, you got the player back after, as we say, it cost us points, and then the referee gets demoted for a week. Well, again, that's no use to us because it's not affecting any change. And, you know, clearly it needs a referee and supervisor to take them aside and go, I don't know what it is with Rangers. I don't know if you're scared. I don't know if it's the media pressure. I don't know if it's personal things with some of you. I'm looking at you, John Beaton. But you can't keep doing this. You can't keep always erring on the side of I'll go against them, because it's constant, and clearly you're not making the same decisions during a Rangers match as you make in other matches. Or if they are, then Jesus, the problem's even bigger than we thought.
Yeah, I'm no one for conspiracy theories. I've never really been one for that. I just think it's a case of referees not being good enough, and I also think nowadays there's not enough leadership in terms of what they should be refereeing, with standards of what they're refereeing. I spoke a couple of weeks ago about the brutality of Scottish football and what gets allowed in Scottish football. There doesn't seem to be a uniform standard with referees. Some let things go, some don't. Some book you, some don't. Some will red card you for next to nothing, some won't. There doesn't seem to be a uniformity that it's a hard thing to apply, right? Don't get me wrong, but doing in England, I think you've got a rough idea if you see a tackle, whether it's a yellow card or not.
Yeah, well,
and it's applied.
But then you do have a far more professional setup. You've got professional refs who train together and who are brought together weekly for meetings. Things are discussed, and it's not just a case of standards are laid down at the start of the season and then never spoken about again. As football evolves through the season, then referees are spoken told to watch for certain things, or that there's been a spate of this or that, and you see that as well. We have none of this. We just have the guys, they turn up, they referee a game, they get their £1,000, they then either, unless they've made a cataclysmic fuck up, just roll along, costing teams points, and if it's really, really egregious, they might have to then go and do a lower league game one week. It's a pathetic system. It can't go on. It's dismal.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And referees, I've got sympathy for referees. They're a precious commodity, right? They've not been described like that in something before. But if you've not got a referee, you've not got a game. And I don't think we've got many good referees in this country at all. I don't think they get helped by the authorities. But at the same time, is it a problem with playing at refereeing at Ibrox or refereeing a Rangers game where there's that wee bit more scrutiny, there's that wee bit more pressure upon them? Can they not handle it? I just don't know why this season we get decisions. I mean, even at Hearts, that handball, I know he's going to be right on, he's got to be spot on if he's going to give that guy a red card, the goalkeeper a red card for handling outside the box. But between him and his linesman, they didn't see it. And I seen it. I was at the other end of Murrayfield.
And I think it plays into you're right, where they go, we're not 100% sure, we can't send them off. I think that Rangers fans would be right in feeling you don't apply that same standard to us. With decisions where a lot of the time you will just go with it, or you'll guess a decision. So straight away there you see a difference in the way that teams are being refereed.
Well, in the Jack red card versus Commanders is a perfect example. How many times have you ever seen a player get yellow carded, they turn get back onto the game, and then the fourth official intervenes to say, "No, hold on a minute, I think he should be sent off."
Yeah, no, I've never seen that. I thought at first he must have said something, because I went, the ref's just given him a straight red. So, but he'd already booked. I'd never seen it. I didn't know it was possible, to be honest. It was truly baffling. And Jack has got a right now to be thinking, what is going on here? Again, I do still stand by. After the game, we said he has to use his head, and he does. Right. People are going to try and wind him up now. That's clear. He's got to just walk away. And his teammates need to help him. If you see someone going up to it, go and pull him away and just say, what we talked about, don't do this. It's just going to cause you problems, going to cause us problems. But I can understand his frustration.
The other side of it, David, is he's playing games, he sees things going on. And I'm not just talking about that individual game. All season, we've seen things happen that if you're a player, you'd be saying, what the hell's going on here? Just off the top of my head, I can remember up at Ross County, the boy Davis nearly killing Kenny Miller with a forearm smash. Right? You see things like that going on, and you are going to get defensive of your teammates and of yourself, and start telling the referee what to do. So when Kirk Broadfoot's standing on his toes, trying to be a fly man, I can see why Ryan Jack reacted, because I probably would if I was on the park.
Yeah,
and it's easy to say. It's easy to say he shouldn't do it, and he has to learn. But he's 25; he should be learning that by now.
Yeah, that's also a point. And he's just been brought into the Scotland squad. Interestingly, for a friendly at Pittodrie, so that could be interesting to get on the field. He'll get a warm welcome there. But congratulations to Ryan Jack for that. Obviously, it's a reward for, because he's been in good form this season, with the exception of these incidents which have been really unfortunate and have created a storm about him that he didn't deserve. To the match on Saturday, we played Partick Thistle, third time this season, after a 2-each draw in the league, followed up by a 3-1 extra time win. So I suppose Partick could argue that they've had 2 90-minute draws against Rangers this season. So it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be a walkover. We welcome back Bruno Alves, whose suspension was one league game and then one in next season's League Cup, so he is available for selection again, and the aforementioned Ryan Jack. I suppose the question is, after what by common consent was certainly our best 45 minutes of the season last week, I don't think anyone could really argue, with the exception of the Dunfermline game, but against a top team or a top level team, our best performance. Is the temptation to just go again? I mean, I thought Danny Wilson was terrific, and that's, you know, speaking from someone who's not a huge fan. Jason Holt was my man of the match, so those would possibly be the two guys who you would be looking at as maybe dropping out. Do you go with the form team, or do you say these are the first team guys that I'm putting them in?
I think you've got to keep more or less the same team. I think Alves will come back, and I think you'll see young McCrory on the bench. And I've been on record saying I don't particularly think that's a bad thing. I think bringing players in, getting a good bit of experience, getting them a good bit of confidence, and then just taking them out for a wee while, I think that does more good than just playing them week in, week out. Danny Wilson, Jason Holt, as you say, the two of them are fantastic last week. Holt in particular, at the game, it was doing thing. It was just outrageously good. Right? It was just winning second balls. He was right on top of them. He was fantastic. And Danny Wilson and Jason Holt are two players that, if you were to say to me at the start of the season what is their role they're going to play, I'd be saying, look, they're decent squad players, but if we're relying on them,
we're in trouble.
Then we've no move forward any.
Yep.
But Holt absolutely has proven me wrong, because he's coming in and he's not just doing a job, he's actually lifting the team to better than they were without him in it, if that makes sense.
Last week he married energy to authority, as you say. He wasn't, contesting for second balls, he was winning them, and he was driving us on, and he was commanding the midfield. I just think if he's in that vein of form, it's very difficult to leave him out.
You can't. I mean, Holt himself, I've always felt, and this is just a personal thing, I always felt he was just that wee bit too small and physically no dominant enough as a midfielder.
A very good Gordon Strachan. Very good Gordon Strachan.
But he's really pushing himself here. So I think he'll play the same team, bar McCrory for Alves, perhaps. There seemed to be a bit of pragmatism to Murty's selection in the first 11 and the bench last week. I think he took Penny out the firing line. He obviously brought Miller back in, who again is another one that proved me completely wrong, because I didn't think he would have had that impact. He was absolutely superb on Saturday in every aspect of his game, winning the ball, mentally, talking to the team. He's passing apart from the first 10 minutes. So I think he's got to go with the same team. Partick, I heard, have got serious injury problems, which is great, and I think we're due to have a good performance at home, and I would like to see an early goal, because I think if we get an early goal, then, as is the way of things at Ibrox, we'll hopefully just crack on for that and take the confidence for last Saturday into this week as well.
I think you're right, and I agree with you. I think this is a really good opportunity. That there seems to be a calmness about the place that hasn't been for a few weeks, understandably, and we're coming off the back of a very good result with players like, we mentioned Wilson, Holt, Miller, Windass, who you would think would be hopefully have a bit more confidence about them. But we have 5 points out of 15 at home this season, and that is brutally unacceptable. Now, yes, Hibs cost us some, and Kilmarnock causing refereeing decisions, but we're Rangers, we don't do stories and hard luck stories, we do results, and we've got 5 points out of 15. It's shambolic, it can't go on, and it's a testament, incidentally, and I will credit the team for this. Our away form is fantastic, otherwise we would really be in bother. But we have to start turning our home stadium into a place where teams are fearing to come, and they're not at the moment, and how could they be? As I say, 5 points out of 15, it's just not good enough. So I think Saturday is a really, really big game for us because of that, on top of the fact that we're Rangers and every game's a big game. But I think we need a result, and we're still in the place where results trump performances. We will be for a while, but if we could go out and play with the level of command that we showed last week, with that sort of level of, as I say, that calm authority of we are the better team and we are going to dominate you up front, we're going to dominate you in midfield, and our strikers are going to push your defenders constantly. And if we can bring that mentality to the team, and again, pace, play with pace, move the ball quickly, get in, win the second ball, harass them, don't let them have easy possession, don't panic if things aren't working, shoot from this, just try things, but keep it going and try and boil it up to where it hits a high tempo, it hits a high temperature and it hits a high tempo. That I think is essential. If we come out and we spend the first 20 minutes where we're kind of giving the ball to the fullback who gives it to Bruno, who launches it long, and that lets Partick bed in, and that will not serve as well. I think we've got to go for the jugular right from the start and really just try and smother them early and let them know, look, you're in a game here, this is our patch and we're gonna show you that.
You're absolutely right. And if we win, if we can beat Partick Saturday, you then get Hamilton on the 18th. And hey presto, you might have your 3 games in a row as soon as Bedrow goes, right? So you've spoke through the season about building a platform to build upon, and there you go. You've had a fantastic win at Hearts, usually a hard place to go. We could win. You would think we would win on Saturday, and then you would think we would win versus Hamilton, regardless of the manager situation. And then you've got Dundee away before you're into a double header for Aberdeen, which I don't think it's too melodramatic to say we could define the season for us.
Absolutely,
the 2 games,
totally.
Even in November, December. But no, you're right. The performances at home have been tepid, and we've had wee sparks. I mean, I thought the first half versus Hibs was pretty good, but it was curtailed because of the red card. So we've not had luck in some games, but over the piece, you've got to say the home form's been very, very poor indeed.
It's been unacceptable, and you're right, because again, in terms of a platform, you've got a good away win, you have a chance to win 3 games in a row, and if you win these next 2 matches, you've more than doubled the points from your home tally that you already had. So there's nothing but positives here if we apply ourselves correctly and get the results that we should. And I have to say, come prediction time, here we are. I think we will, and I think we'll win 2-0 on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm probably, but I think it could be 3 or 4. I just think if the Tails are on the up after that win last week, the Tails will never be up. No. The Tails have been docked.
Yes.
So we need to go in with a bit of confidence with players that are feeling confident. I don't know if Dorns is back. I forgot all about him, but I don't know if Dorns is still injured.
I don't believe he is.
No. But I think Miller made a big difference, and he had a point to prove. He's now got a point to prove to make sure he can do it week in, week out, because he's to be honest, that's the first we've had of him this season.
Yeah, it really has, and another game like that will, as I say, silence a lot of the kind of complaints about it, and that's how you win fans over. Where I hate the term fans are fickle. We're not fickle, we remember it, but what we are is pragmatic, and to win on the day, we will put up with stuff. Doesn't change your opinion long term. How you feel about Kenny Miller won't change because he scored a couple of goals, but you will, get along with him, if you like, because he's in the team and he's doing well. So no, I think we're going to do it. So, well, I'll be back after the match on Saturday with the video blog to let you know my immediate thoughts on that, and then there'll be, of course, the flagship podcast at the start of next week. Just to remind people that there'll be some live dates being announced soon. But if you are really desperate to see me, remember that I will be part of NARSA 2018. Next year in Calgary. So if you fancy a trip to beautiful Calgary, Alberta, Canada in late May next year, go to the NARSA website and you'll get full details, and you'll get details of the packages to stay there and whatnot. And apart from a live heart and hand experience, I'll be interviewing players, punters, everybody. So you'll see a lot of me if that's your thing, and if not, you can avoid me totally and see ex-Jails stars and heroes. There's no other word for it, from our past, and meet loads of great bears who basically spend their, keep the Rangers flag flying, spend their lives keeping the Rangers name up abroad. So it's a fantastic opportunity. Just go to the NARSA website, put that into your Google machine, and up it will pop. But we will be announcing domestic live dates soon, so that's something to get in your calendar, and we'll get the tickets out before Christmas, so you can buy them for a loved one, and they're nice and cheap. They won't cost you very much. Just a wee aside as well, please check out the YouTube channel, give us a subscribe. That's excellent. You find content that is exclusive, it doesn't appear on the podcast, and we will be ramping that up over the next few weeks. So all that remains for me to do is to thank our executive producers in London, Mr. Mike Lee and Paul Miles, to thank the splendid Andy McGowan. Thanks for that, Andy.
My pleasure, David.
And to thank all of you for listening. And my name's David Edgar. I will talk to you again on Monday. Cheers. Bye.